Hey, world history. This is Miss Corey. Welcome to Unit 12. So, we're going to start off with U12-L2 Basics of the Scientific Revolution. So, I'll be honest with you, Unit 12 is about like the French Revolution. I don't know much about the French Revolution besides what we learn in class. That's why this unit's really ed puzzle heavy. It's because I have you watch two crash course videos by John Green. I love and hate John Green. He's a great guy. Like, he makes great videos. He speaks really fast. That's like my one complaint with him. And I'm sure you've had many John Green videos in the past from other classes, but he really explains it better than I ever could. So that's why this unit is super ed puzzle heavy. But you do have two ed puzzles that are by me, so you get to listen to my voice. So, learning targets. Students can identify the major intellectual and scientific developments of 17th and 18th century Europe, describe the region and global influences on the European scientific revolution and Enlightenment, and assess their impact on global society. We'll do Enlightenment in the next video. So, your job, same as always, watch this ed puzzle, answer the questions. Any question in blue text is going to be a question I want you to answer directly on the ed puzzle. Make sure you're following along with your study guide, because anything and red text is going to be like a vocab word. And of course, if you have questions, please let us know. We are here to help you. So just a reminder, so blue text questions in lecture puzzles, like the ones like I make, are usually, I don't grade them if you get the question right or wrong. As long as you're taking an educated guess, that's what I kind of grade it on. Now, the questions on ed puzzles by other sources, so like YouTube, like with Crash Course later this week, or the History Channel, or we like watch the story of China with Michael Wood, the last unit, or the Great Inca Rebellion in Unit 10. So those are the ones that I'll be grading you on what questions you get right or wrong. Just because they're not my videos and I can like answer more detailed questions to see if you're actually paying attention. All right. So, just a reminder as well when it comes to the study guides, I've said this probably every unit now, and I'm sure you're sick of me saying it, but taking notes is a great way to practice, especially for those of you who are maybe looking at going on to college, because usually, like, professors don't give out notes. So, it's a really good practice to like start writing your own notes. But for those of you who may struggle with writing your own notes, remember, you can just go into the pink resource folder on Schoology, and that has all of my slideshows in it. And you can just go into the slideshows and copy and paste the definitions into your study guide. Pretty easy. So I try to make things easy. I really do. So when you hear names like Galileo Galilei, Isaac Newton, Johannes Kepler, Nicholas Copernicus, what comes to your mind? Sciencey stuff, right? Sciencey, mathy things. All right, so we're going to learn about all of them today. If you don't know anything about them, that's okay too, because we'll learn today very briefly about them. So, what is the scientific revolution? All of these men are a part of the scientific revolution in Europe. So, the scientific revolution is when scholars would challenge traditional ways of thinking of the natural world. So they would challenge and use scientific method to prove or disprove teachings of the church. This really occurred in the early 1500s into the late 1600s. So kind of like right in the end of that Renaissance era. So it started during the Renaissance when more people were traveling the world, especially to Africa, Asia, and then eventually the Americas. And this led to changing of ideas among different cultures. For example, with Arabic numerals, so Arabic numerals are the number system that we use most common here in the United States. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are Arabic numerals, and they actually came from the Middle East in North Africa. There's also surgical tools like syringes, forceps, and surgical hooks that came from the Arab countries. There's also mechanical clock designs from China, which was powered by flowing water or liquid mercury. And there's many more examples of all the scientific ideas that came across the world during this time period. So one of the most important people would be Nicholas Copernicus. So you might have learned about him like in like ninth grade science or something like that. So he was alive from 1473 to 1543. He was a Polish priest, And ancient Greek astronomers thought that the sun was at the center of the solar system. During the rise of Christianity, though, it was believed that Earth was the center of the solar system. So let's kind of take a look. So today we know that the sun, which is right here in yellow, is at the center of our solar system. And then we have Earth going around the sun, and then Mars going around the sun as well. But before this, like between the rise of Christianity until the 1500s, people thought that the Earth was in the center of the solar system. The sun revolved around the Earth, and then Mars would do this weird little loop-de-doop around the Earth as well. So, Copernicus studied planetary movements for 25 years, and he concluded that the planets did indeed revolve around the sun. So, he concluded that the ancient Greeks were right and that the Christian belief was incorrect. So, being a priest, he knew the Catholic Church would reject this idea. So, he was so afraid that he didn't actually publish his studies until the last year of his life in 1543. Today, we know his theory as heliocentric. Helio meaning sun, centric meaning center. So the sun is at the center of our solar system. Then we have Johannes Kepler. So he was alive from 1571 to 1630. He would study his math teacher's calculation of planetary motion. So his teacher died in 1601. So Johannes Kepler kind of like continued on his teacher's studies. And he concluded with the math equation for planetary motion, which you can see right here. So if you ever take physics, you will probably see these formulas. And he also supported the heliocentric theory. He also discovered that planets move more in an elliptical orbit, so more oval shaped, and not perfect circles. All right, then we have Galileo Galilei. So he was alive from 1564 to 1642. He was an astronomer and he built his own telescope using glass lenses. Here is what that telescope would have looked like. He also wrote a book called The Starry Messenger. In that book, he announced that Jupiter has 4 moons, the sun had a dark spot, and the moon had a very rough, uneven surface. So, ancient Greek philosophers, such as Aristotle, believed that other planets were smooth. So, to him to be able to see through his telescope that the moon was actually rough was a huge revolution. He also put in the laws of motions, and all of these observations led him to support heliocentrism as well. All right, so the Catholic Church was not happy at Galileo for his publicizing this book because the Catholic Church shunned the idea of heliocentrism. Remember, the Catholic Church believed that the Earth was in the center of the solar system. Galileo was devastated at this because he was also a devout Catholic as well as a scientist. He went on trial and he was forced to read a confession that heliocentrism was incorrect. He felt defeated, although he wasn't wrong. Galileo went under house arrest until he died in 1642. And only in 1992, the Catholic Church finally acknowledged that Galileo had been correct this whole time. Yeah, crazy. What, like 300 plus years later, Catholic Church finally acknowledges that the sun is in the center of the solar system. So, Isaac Newton, another big name, he is one of the most famous scientists. What do you know about him? So he lived from 1643 until 1727, and he studied math and physics at Cambridge University. Newton believed all objects were affected equally by some sort of force. He also believed this same force caused the motion of planets, and this led to his discovery of the law of universal gravitation. So that means that every object in the universe attracts other objects. And the degree of attraction depends both on mass and distance. You might have learned that maybe a little bit back in ninth grade science. And if you take physics, either this year or next year, you for sure will probably be learning about that. He also has his laws of motions that I'm sure you all had to probably memorize, like in ninth grade science. So the first law, like a body in motion remains in motion, or body at rest remains at rest unless acted upon another force. The second law is F equals mass times acceleration. And then the third law is for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Okay, so lots of sciencey stuff today. Today we talked about science revolution, Nicholas Copernicus, heliocentric, Johannes Kepler, Galileo Galilei, and Isaac Newton. Next up, you're going to watch U12-L3 Basics of Enlightenment. And if you have questions, comments, or want to learn more, please let us know. We are happy to help. Thanks for watching. Bye.